Dire team ban.
And we're back for game number 2 of this best of 3. Zenith taking on Chain Stack here in this Phase 3 Asia Qualifier showdown at the G-1 Champions League. Zenith living up to their reputation, living up to their name power and their star power, and making it look easy, if we're to be honest, in game number 1. Rolled to a 28-minute win. It actually may not have even been 20 now that I think back. I want to say it was actually closer to the 25, and it was just about 25,000 gold their advantage around that time as well. The Chain Stack, though, in fairness, playing short-handed. They've got 2 missing and are playing with 2 stand-ins in Chibix and OD. And, yeah, the synergy that's needed both in terms of lineup and in terms of communication, your movement, your decision-making, that's just all going to be hampered whenever you're not running at full strength. And the Chain Stack gave us as good a showing as I think you can reasonably expect, given the adversity they're up against in Zenith, extending their win streak to 14 consecutive games throughout March. And I talked about this in the beginning. I'm just going to reiterate this because of how impressive this actually is for a professional team that's constantly playing professional teams. Zenith has won 14 in a row. 14 games. They have not lost a single one throughout the month of March. If they win here today, they're going to improve to 10-0 in individual series. I mean, that is just mind-boggling for a professional team to put together that kind of a win streak. And it's not like Zenith hasn't been playing good competition. They have. And Chain Stack, at full strength, a team that I think could hold their own, but today, going to have to dig down deep if they want to try and force a Game 3. Not to say it's a forlorn hope, though. You never know what can happen, and Dota's one of those games. Sometimes you just have things go well for you in the beginning. Sometimes you just knock your opponents out of their rhythm, and really I think that's what Chains is going to have to do here. I talked about it a lot at the beginning of Game 1 during the draft, and the lineup, I think, reflected what I was putting across, which is the idea that Chains cannot afford to put themselves in a grinded-out match with Zenith. They cannot afford to draft a lineup that is going to hit its peak past 30 minutes. Chains has to do everything they possibly can to be aggressive early, to knock Zenith out of the rhythm that a team has experienced and that has as much natural chemistry as the players on Zenith do. You have to take them out of that. You have to do anything you can to try and interrupt their chain of thought. And this goes all the way from the macro scale to the micro scale. Your goals have to be constantly interrupting the opponents and what they want to do and taking control of the game that way. And that comes with aggression. You want to interrupt their chains of initiation at the smallest scale, and you want to interrupt their thought processes, the execution of their strategic game plan at the highest and largest scale. So we can see Shane's going to go and pick up a Keeper of the Light. They're going to get a Rubik to go with him this time around. Rubik played by Ice at game number 1. This time going to be handled by the enemy team. Lone Druid going to be the first pick up by Zenith as he did survive. Tinker also going to go with the Druid, and already we can see that Zenith is going to have an immense amount of push potential very, very early on. Now, I don't have the statistics right in front of me to back this up, but just based on what I have seen so far throughout the G1, I would argue that outside of maybe a Shadow Demon and or a Rubik, in terms of like farming carries, of heroes who are actually going to be a high-impact gold farming kind of a hero, in any given match, Lone Druid has to have the highest win percentages at G1. I have only seen a Lone Druid lose twice in all of the games I've broadcasted so far in G1 through Phase 2 and now on through to Phase 3. And Lone Druid has been banned or picked, I think, in every single game that I have broadcasted. So Shane's going to go ahead and grab Brewmaster, and again, I think this jives with what I was putting across. Brewmaster, a very mid-game-centric hero. Obviously, he can give you some value in the later stages of the game, but it's really at level 6 and at level 11 when he really hits his peak. You want to send him mid 9 times out of 10. He can do things like long lane, and hell, I've even seen duo lanes with a Brewmaster and a Windrunner work before if you just want to apply a little bit of pressure but have some innate survivability. That kind of situation can be advantageous so long as you can accurately predict what the enemy's going to be throwing at you and whether or not he can be safe in that situation. But for the most part, you simply want to get him ahead in terms of levels, get him to 6 as soon as possible, and then begin to dive towers, begin to push towers, begin to take control of the flow of the game very early on, sub 20 minutes, using the pure punching power that Primal Split gives you from Brewmaster. And what makes Brewmaster fall off in the later stages of the game isn't necessarily that his abilities change or that he doesn't scale well with items. I mean, you can get a lot of items on a Brewmaster that make him very lethal. Most notably the Aghanim Scepter, of course, which just puts his ult basically on an extremely short cooldown, also extends the duration. And by the time you factor in the fact that his ult duration is way up and the cooldown is way down, it seems like it's always up. It's either always being used or always available to you. So he does have that going for him in terms of scaling him into the late game. He has good initiation coming out from his clap. as well as Drunken Brawler, keeping him alive, and so on and so forth. Drunken Haze, of course, excellent as an anti-carry tool on a lone druid, or any given right-click damage dealer. But again, the later the game goes, all of a sudden the damage that is reliably coming out of Split in terms of the three aspects, being able to pour it on from three different angles. Rock is good as well, as is the wind aspect, or the air aspect, I should say. And that's probably the biggest factor that I think Chains has going for them with the Brewmaster pick. And the reason I'm focusing on this so much, by the way, is Brewmaster was a very common counter to Lone Druid in the International. And this is kind of where I'm going with this. Even though Brewmaster really has his wheelhouse in the mid-game, which of course jives with Chain Stack trying to knock Zenith out of their game plan. The biggest thing he contributes at any stage of the game, once he does hit level 6, is the fact that his air aspect can take the bear off of the map, toss the bear into the air, and he's gone for a while. That allows you a chance to focus down the Lone Druid unimpeded without having to worry about roots, without having to worry about lightning jumps that may come off of a Maelstrom, which has really become arguably the most popular, if not the second most popular build for a Lone Druid, or item in particular, I should say. Usually you'll see an armlet into a Maelstrom that has just become so strong to go on your bear early. It gives you a lot of scalability through that phase of the game. And one of the struggles that Lone Druid players have had since the hero came into Dota 2 is, how do you get him from A to B? How do you get him from 10 minutes to 40 minutes? How do you get him through that mid-game phase when, okay, you can get a Radiance on it, but then obviously that's a long grind of gold, and if you kill it, if he dies a couple of times, it's slowed down, and then the Radiance burn isn't really that effective anymore. And what a lot of players have begun to focus on is just how to make him feel really strong in the mid game, and he will naturally find gold via tower kills, naturally find gold by his innate jungling speed and his ability to get gold in a variety of ways all over the map. So now players are beginning to focus on that a lot, and in that regard, a Brewmaster really is a beautiful pickup. So enough about the Brew. Didn't talk a whole lot about the bans, but we can already see the Chain Stack not interested in seeing a Juggernaut for the second game in a row. They're going to ban out the DK as well as the Queen of Pain as well. And on the side of Zenith, we can see a couple of long lanes and a mid banned out, or a mid or a just flat-out right-click carry in the Shadow Fiend. But with the Darkseer and Weaver taken out, that's a lot of potential the Chain Stack would have had in that long lane. And Brewmaster, again, would seem to be the obvious mid-pickup. I love the Night Stalker pickup here from Zenith as a counter to Brewmaster, because Night Stalker's silence at night is absurdly long. It is one of the longest in the entire game, and it's just miserable if you're a Brewmaster who wants to get the jump on the enemy, but you're still at that stage of the game where you're saving up for your Blink Dagger. You're looking for that mobility item that's going to allow you to get the jump on the enemy that way. Zenith, with the range and the vision that comes from Night Stalker at night, going to be able to engage into a Brewmaster who's going to be able to throw out the silence almost immediately. And even if they don't get the Brew, even if the Brew is able to avoid that, you have a Rubik who really is just useless without having his skills up in any decent clip. So Bounty Hunter will be the fourth pickup from Chain Stack, again, playing into the idea that they want to get out, they want to punch early, and they want to try to get a lead that way. They want to come out firing and not allow Zenith to fall into a rhythm like they did in game number 1. And game number 1, I mean, it really just went about as you would expect when you have a Night Stalker who loses mid, you have a Juggernaut who comes out of a 1-on-3 lane way too farmed, way too far ahead in levels, and then a tri lane on the other side that had a free farming Gyrocopter. You just can't allow that to happen, and Zenith going to be trying to execute that again. And they, I mean, to take nothing away from their own mid game, I'm talking a lot about the Chain Stack and what their draft is going to give them in terms of options in the mid game, but Zenith now, even with the Lina pickup, I mean, they have an extremely strong level 6 team. I mean, level 6 to level 8, Lone Druid should be getting his armlet up. I mean, no matter what he wants to build. And it's usually like, what I like a lot about the armlet in the Maelstrom build is the fact that it makes it so the Druid doesn't have this long grind to an item that it often feels like he does when he's very vulnerable. He hasn't tanked up as much as he would like to yet. It's a lot easier to gank him in that window. And instead, the only real grind that it seems to have whenever you go with that kind of a build is just getting up some phase boots on the bear and a set of tier 1s on the Druid himself. Once you get those up, the pieces of the armlet are extremely small. They come out very, very quickly, and you can do, it's simple, but it is very effective. A nice little approach to it, which is picking up 2 gloves of haste, because you are going to eventually be getting that Maelstrom. So you go ahead and get up that extra little bit of attack speed. It lets you push with the bear, having Demolish up at that level. And it's just a really, really solid way to build him. So PA going to be the pickup from the Chain Stack. And in most cases, I'd be a little surprised, but given they were looking for a hardcore right-click farming damage dealer, that was going to try to peak early on, that would really benefit from having some track hold from Bounty Hunter. I don't think that's a bad pick at all. I think it's creative, and I think it gives them a lot of mobility and the chance to get on top of Zenith, which is going to be the challenge for them in a lot of ways. They're going to talk briefly about Brewmaster really needing a Blink Dagger in this situation. Night Stalker obviously going to be a threat to everyone just because of the duration of that silence, not to mention how much damage that hero can actually pour out. But Zenith's lanes are looking very, very strong to me, and I would guess we're going to see an offensive tri-lane here with the Night Stalker, the Shadow Demon, and the Lina, with Tinker going mid and Lone Druid farming the solo safe lane. Now, the way Chains wants to respond to that, they've got a lot of options open to them. And obviously, one of those is just to go very cookie cutter, to go ahead and long lane the Bounty Hunter. Or they could even long lane the Brewmaster if they really, really wanted to. And honestly, they can just about farm a Phantom Assassin against a solo farm of Phantom Assassin against a Lone Druid as well, just because of Stifling Dagger and how effective it is. That guarantee you some last hits. But for now, now this is a little surprising to me. We are going to go ahead and see Ice making his way to top lane for the moment. Sending the bear there just momentarily. He may end up crossing the map by the time all's said and done. But it doesn't look like we're going to have any early action on both sides, as the same piece of real estate not particularly favored by both sides. So I'll go ahead and run through our lineups while we have the chance. Going to have Freedom handling our Shadow Demon this time around. Lina will be played by Ice. Going to have NWP, also known as Yamate, playing on our Night Stalker. Ice Cubed handling our Lone Druid, as previously mentioned. And XY going to be playing on Tinker on the other side of the map. We've got Risk playing on our Bounty Hunter this time around. Keeper of the Light will be played by Minerva for the second game in a row. The eponymous hero, the eponymous player from Chains Stack Chains, will be playing on our Phantom Assassin. Brewmaster handled in mid by the stand-in Chibix, and the second stand-in for the day, OD. Both of our stand-ins had they had a rough time. Not gonna lie, they had a hard life. It was a very unpleasant going for them in game one. Going to be looking to put together a more solid performance this time around. Regen Rune will be picked up, but not a whole lot to report. Not a whole lot to report other than the fact that I am so jelly. And I really want this, and I think everyone who plays Dota really, really wants this. Such an awesome Lina skin. But anyway, how about we talk about the way the lanes are shaping up. Risk is going to be making his way down here. I think this is honestly not needed. I'm genuinely surprised that Zenith is not just going to offensively tri-lane this. Against the, PA's lane presence is garbage. And then there's really no other way to put it. She can use Stifling Dagger to last hit from a bit back once she gets a point or two into it. So that gives her the ability to farm in the face of pressure, okay. But her lane presence is just not good early. Even with Blur giving her a little bit of survivability if you do want to skill that, so on and so forth. I really think that Zenith could be capitalizing on this in a much bigger way, but nothing wrong with playing it safe, I don't suppose. Risk going to be 1-on-3 down here. We're going to have Ice farming against the tri-lane of Chains. And I guess maybe that's the plan. When they look at this, they go, you know what? Phantom Assassin does not have lane presence early on. And that's going to allow Ice the ability to get in her face a lot more with the bear. It's going to allow him to feel a lot more stable. Minerva's not going to be able to help out a lot except for Chakra, just because anytime he spams Illuminate, the chances of him pushing the lane back up under the tower to Ice are going to increase. And that's a situation they don't really want to allow to happen. They don't want Ice. They don't want him doing what he's doing right now, basically, which is sitting very safely under his own tower, controlling creep equilibrium, at least for the moment, and getting last hits. Now, it is going to be sucked back now, as we did see the pull up at the top pull lane, but already Ice off to a great start. He's sitting on top of our CS leaderboard at 6. Night Stalker in mid doing a good job as well, as is Tinker, Night Stalker farming in bottom, I should say, and Tinker in mid doing a great job as well. So, yeah, the last hits, top 4, all belong to Zenith. Still very early on, though, still a lot of Dota to be played. XY will be going with a March in the Machine-centric build. He's got 2 points into it already, 1 into Laser. Pretty typical stuff so far. Yamate, 2 points in the Void, 1 into Stalker of the Night. I would imagine he'll put at least 1 point into his Silence before night rolls around. But you never know. But other than that, pretty quiet all over the place. Now, the way Chains is going to want to build this PA is going to be of particular interest. There are a couple of approaches he can take here. The supports on the side of Zenith are pretty squishy in the Lina and the Shadow Demon. That means he could do something like pick up a Battle Fury. It would certainly help him farm a little bit quicker if he gets it up at a good clip. And by all accounts, he should have no problem getting his gold income rolling in the right direction pretty solidly soon. And we can see, yeah, he's right at 11, so not quite as high as our Night Stalker, but right near the top and right near where he needs to be. So probably phase boots and then into Again, perhaps something like a Battle Fury could also go the direction of a Vlad's. A Vlad's on a PA very early on, if she's getting good levels and good farm, can be a very solid choice. Gives her the ability to farm the jungle a lot more reliably, even without the cleave damage. And also allows her to start taking fights a lot more early than normally she would be able to. Having that little bit of amount of lifesteal, especially once you get a second point into coup de grace. Coup de grace, I guess, is the non-ignorant way to pronounce that. Once you get a couple more points into her ult, she's going to be hitting for plenty of damage. I mean, right now, she's not really able to do much, but maybe scare the lone druid a little bit. But eventually, once she starts to crit, having that extra lifesteal to give her survivability in those fights, if and when she does land a crit, can be very, very valuable if they want to try to start taking fights early. And Ayesee back up under his own tower here. And they're not going to push this. Minerva's actually making his way down into the river now. I'm going to try and spot out the 4-minute rune. See if there's anything to report, and it will be a haste rune. He's just going to sit next to it for the moment, and we'll see Chibix make his way down. Happy to refill his bottle. Back to the Tinker. He's almost level 5. 2 points in the laser, 2 in the march. And Zenith just doing their bloody business here in the jungle. Very quiet early game, 4 minutes in. Not a whole lot that can be said either way. But the movement should be coming soon. And again, a lot of that will depend on which team wants to come out swinging first. I mean, obviously, First Knight's going to be here in 90 seconds. And that might be the word go for Yamate. He's already got up his phase boots, so that tells you how well he's farming. 26 last hits at 4.5 minutes into the game. And we'll have time to get a bottle up if he wants to do that even before he starts. Could also just go flat out for an urn and rely on that. Not just for survivability, but for mana regen as well. And, yep, the auto attack's now beginning in bottom. So they are going to try to push this down. And atop, Ayesee might be in some trouble here, actually. Down below a quarter health. Illuminate will be dodged. Oh, no! Oh, I thought he dodged it. I thought he was wide enough. Good shot by Minerva. Give the man a free whiskey. Putting first blood on the board, and that's exactly what Chains needs, man. That makes me happy for Chain Stack. I am not a Chain Stack fanboy. I like the guys. I like the team. I like Zenith a lot too, though. But it just makes me happy to see them get off to a decent-ish start. And wow, Brewmaster's actually going to use Split here in mid to kill Tinker. So 2-0. There you go, Chain Stack. Off to a much better start here in game number 2 compared to game number 1. Chibix gets ahead of the Tinker at least momentarily. In the meantime, Zenith going to work on the tier 1 bottom. They should get it pretty easily. And looks like Yamate will be taking the last hit. And now Freedom's going to be careful. He's down pretty low. There's an Illuminate. Ooh, almost wound up like his buddy Ayesee, but able to duck into the crevice in the trees pretty easily. Actually, crevice isn't correct there. What would you call that? Duck into the miniature meadow. That's what we're going to call that. It's a miniature meadow because we like alliteration here. Alliteration is a great way to sound smart when you aren't. You can ask any writer that. Anyway, back to Chibix. Has added arc boots to his inventory. He's got a wand up as well. Probably going to start that long save now for that Blink Dagger. Blink Dagger, absolutely essential to him. And Chains has picked up a Ring of Health. So Battle Fury might well be the choice. Can also, honestly, as much as I hate to say it, and as much as I really don't like the item being picked up in about 999 cases out of 1,000, he could honestly go Vanguard, and it would make some sense here. When you look at what he's going to be up against, the right click from the Lone Druid and from the Bear, the right click from the Night Stalker and so on, a Vanguard would not be a horrible choice if they want to fight early. And see, when I say, that's actually a very undercapitalized way to say it. That kind of an item, hold on, Minerva going to be spotted out. Oh, there's the Courier as well. And now going to double back. Ring of Health up on NWP, a.k.a. Yamata. Silence on Chibix. Chibix doesn't have an ult for 60 seconds. And Yamata just passing through, bro. Don't worry about it. And yeah, Minerva eating a lot of damage. Man, maxed out March of the Machine. Just one of the most unbelievably annoying abilities to have to deal with. You just cannot stand in it. You cannot fight in it until the game goes on. Now we're going to have a kill on Lone Druid. So Ayesee playing a little too ballsy in top lane. And all of a sudden, Chain Stack, who flat out got run over in game 1, They're off to a 3-0 lead here in game number 2. 1,500 gold they lead, or excuse me, Zenith does continue to lead. We see the bounty hunter killed off after being dusted by Yamate and Ice. So it isn't as if Zenith is hurting, but in terms of kills and at least in terms of momentum, up until then maybe. And now here in mid, we're going to have a reaction as we see XY under cover of an invis, surrounded by the enemy. He will be able to duck his way back up under the tower, at least momentarily. But Ice struggling a bit. He's on his way to his Tranquil Boots, it would seem. And this is a choice that you can make as a Lone Druid player, and it just depends player to player, team to team. Tranquil Boots on the Lone Druid, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. A lot of times you'll see a Lone Druid, especially if he's off to a good start, which again, Ice most definitely is not. You'll see them just skip the tranks and just rush up the phase on the bear, and then go ahead and grab 2 Gloves of Haste on their way to that Maelstrom and... All right, let me reverse that. On their way to the Armlet and Maelstrom build. He's got 1 Glove of Haste on him now. And, I mean, he could viably turn that into a Midas if he really wanted to. He's got 300 gold in the bank right now, though, so nowhere near there. Would be really surprised if he did that. We can see the stacking going on from Freedom now. Actually didn't manage to get it stacked that time. And TP reaction at the top. Here we go. PA eating some damage from the bear. She will be able to make it away. Return kill on Nightstalker in the meantime. And Ice. Way too ballsy. What were he and Nightstalker doing there? Got up there in time to see the reactions land, and they were just 9 miles away from where they needed to be. OD manages to make it away just fine. 1-5. And Chain Stack slowly whittling away at this gold lead. In fact, the experience is now moving in their direction. So far, Zenith really not showing us the consistency and the, to be honest, good decision-making that is their hallmark. Last few minutes of play, they have just really been sloppy, and Chain Stack, to their credit, has taken it full advantage of it. They're playing some good Dota and executing whenever they have the chance. Zenith's going to look to turn that around now. This is going to help. A haste room picked up on Yamata. Moving up the river now under cover of smoke along with 2 supports, Lina and Shadow Demon. Looks like they may try to go after Chains. Chains obviously envisioned due to the creep wave. And Chains will duck back. Nope, thought better of it. Now he's hanging out. And they're going to spot out, oh, poor Minerva. Never had a chance. Cleaned up immediately. And OD says, nope, no thank you. Don't need to be there. And they may decide to go ahead and push here to try and force some kind of a reaction out of Chains. Taking a look at Risk, he's level 5, did not have the best start in history, just now about to get up track. Track going to be very essential to any plan that Chains has. They're going to need to fight very quickly, very early, and they're going to need to get a lot of track kills in the process. Minerva lands along with Chains and OT. Going to try and hold the line here. Damage output from Stifling Dagger, which has been maxed, actually pretty good so far, so that's annoying at the very least to deal with. XY will resume his station in mid. He has his Boots of Travel done as well as his bottle. And keeping an eye on Zenith, they are going to go ahead and re-smoke up. I like this play a lot. Keeping an eye on Chains as well, or excuse me, on PA. She's got 2,700 gold. Up, what'd she buy? I thought she bought something. Hang on. Another smoke up. Hold that thought. And looking for an opening. And there we go. They guessed right. Oh, poor Minerva. And the Laguna Blade blown as well. There's Tinker to clean that up. OD going to be silent. Chains can do nothing but hide. TP reactions coming in, but it's going to be a bit too little too late. They may be able to get a return kill on XY, though, and they will. And now, good Light Striker Ray going to lock Chibix down. It forces him to use Split. Going to try to pursue out Freedom. And Freedom, you're running to the wrong side of the map, brother. He's got a TP. Going to try to juke out. Oh! Oh! Lost him in the woods. Lost him in the woods. Yamate does manage to survive there. We have buybacks come out as well. And Ice is happy to have that room to operate. Talked about it during the draft. How much room the composition they have can open up for him in the right circumstances. And there we go. The tower drops. Ice with his Tranquil Boots up. And likely to end up dead here. Maybe. He may just kill Minerva for the hell of it. Oh, what a route! Oh, Minerva! And here, oh no, here comes the Night Stalker with a DD ready to clean house. They're going to get 1 kill, make it 2, and now Risk is going to be dusted out. And this is unfortunate. Unfortunate if you're Chain Stack or a Chain Stack fan. Yamate quite happy to have found himself a DD. And Ayesee already feeling tanky. They just really could do nothing to him there. He is going to get a Midas. Now, that's kind of shocking, actually. 13-minute Midas. Don't know that it's necessary. But whatever. Freedom's going to spot out Shane's, get a disruption off. He's got plenty of help around. Doesn't get the Soul Catcher off on the right target, though. Now, Shane's going to re-engage. There's a Dragon Slave, and Shane's going to go ahead and run for it. Light Striker Rain not going to be there. Laguna Blade does good damage. Rocket Spam, not enough. And now, though, here's the counter initiation. Chibix going to add 1 kill to his total. He's going to eat a laser, but Ice about to drop as well. He's tracked out. Nice track kill on the way for Chains. On the high ground. Risk will make it out of the March of the Machine. 7-8, Chains maintains. Yeah, there you go. Poet didn't know it. Chains maintains their kill lead. Couple of track kills there, helping things stay in order. However, all they've done is stop the bleeding with that. Down 5,000 gold, slight arc downwards, not nearly as much as they needed. 1,500 experience now in favor of Zenith. And this comes back around to what I was talking about back in Game 1 and during the draft again, just because it is, when you come into a match like this, and not to underestimate or to hate or to say anything negative about the skill level of Chain Stack, obviously remarkable and notable for the fact that they're here at all. The fact that they fought through Phase 2. Phase 2, which claimed Tong Fu, which claimed For Love, which claimed MUFC. Teams like that did not make it as far as Chain Stack has. So I am not saying they're a bad team. But they are not on the same level as Zenith, and I think they would be the first to admit that. And when you're in a game like this against a team like that, they will outgrind you. And that's exactly what's happening. I mean, yeah, we can see, even with that big coup, even with the nice win they had under just to the south of their Tier 1 top, all that did was slowly stop the upwards arc, and now it's going up again. Yeah, the experience the same way. And this puts you in such a hard position if you're Chains. You got a good win there, and the tendency, the natural inclination is to go, yay, we got to win, let's farm and get into a good position. You can't do that against Zenith in this situation. Zenith is going to thrive if that's your decision making. They need to be applying pressure everywhere and trying to just knock Zenith out, swing from the shoelaces and land one haymaker after a haymaker after a haymaker. If they could do that, they still have a shot in this game. If they don't do it soon, though, this game is going to slip away from them much the way that Game 2 did, or Game 1 did. Game 1, certainly a different story than this, though. They are doing a much better job this time around, already showing adaptation and improvement. And that alone deserves admiration, deserves mention. Risk still not in the best of shape. He's got 700 gold in the bank. He's got a set of Tier 1 boots and a bracer. And he's nowhere near level 11, still just level 8. Taking a look at Chains, he did opt to go for the Battle Fury, which isn't the, you see a Ring of Health, usually Battle Fury is going to be what you're thinking, most of the time. Tinker has picked up a Blink Dagger in the meantime, and they're just going to go ahead and give the old okey doke. Doubling back in, oh, Risk, you poor, poor bounty hunter. Gondar, not going to be happy. XY's there just to go ahead and seal the deal. They may trade a Tier 1 for a Tier 2 here, but that's not the trade you want to make. They could honestly probably, yeah, I was going to say, they could honestly probably take this tower and respond in time to save that tower. And they're not even going to do that. They're just going to look to fight. They're going to send out the Night Stalker illusion first. Very smart. They send one to hold the tower, that's XY. And then anticipating the movement out of Chain Stack, they set up shop on the other side of the jungle. Chain Stack, though, very, very aware. You can see they're all just kind of sitting here. It's because they saw the withdrawal of Zenith. They only saw this portion of it, but that's all they had to see to know where they were heading. And if they're not confident in taking a fight right now, this is the right thing to do. NWP going to spot out Chains, though, throws out a free void. A lot of damage being done. And Brewmaster will be forced to use Split. We see OD making his way over. They managed to clean up the Lina in the meantime. Shadow Demon going to be coming down to a world of pain. Freedom cleaned up, and Chains just kind of outfoxed Zenith here. 8-10. Yamate being pursued. Brew's ult does wear off, so Chibik's back as 1. But very good play, except for the fact that Ayesee is going to get another tower. That's unfortunate. He may just go Radiance. He's got 2,500 gold on him right now. And now we're going to have the re-engagement on Chibix. He's silenced out. And no, Day comes just in time. Very lucky Brewmaster. Now they make it a return kill. Ice is there. Going to look to buy time for his buddy. Misses with everything, though. Dragon Slave did some damage, but whiffed on the Light Strike Array. XY manages to make it away in Yamate. Not very happy with the sun coming up. Almost biffed it because of an end. Wow. Ice playing some YOLO Dota. Yeah, what did you expect to happen, buddy? XY, though, going to look for some reprisal kills. And looking for a target. Going to go ahead and use March. Cleans up the Keeper of the Light with one well-placed laser. And Ice continuing the just push. And XY manages to add another kill in mid in the meantime. Ice. Chopping wood. Here on the tier 2, we hear the pings. Chain's not happy that they're about to lose the tier 2 for free, but that's going to be reality. It's got 3,400 gold. Again, not 100% sure what he's going to build, but yeah, XY's here now. What a root on Risk. Oh, so unfortunate. Here comes Chibix. Chibix not going to have his ult up for 51 seconds. He's going to go ahead and use a clap. The Bear's going to pursue him, eat some rocket spam. XY just everywhere right now. And there's the Panda Bear. Tinker gets yet another kill. XY utterly taking this game over at this point. Dagon now picked up on him, so don't think the kill streak's going to end anytime soon. 12-11, Zenith finally reclaims the kill lead. But 10,000 gold was already the advantage, 7,500 experience. And Chain Stack, as well as they played, and as much as I thought that they really had something going early on, feels like they've just run out of steam. PA, not much more than treads and a Battle Fury to report on. XY, bouncing around, heading back to the well for the moment. This will be the last outer tier tower remaining for Chain Stack. And Zenith, just about ready to begin their death push, it would seem. The Night Stalker, actually, he picked up a Vanguard, which, again, not a bad choice, all things considered. And if you're looking for a mid-game win and building Night Stalker in a mid-game fashion, Vanguard BKB. Never bad. Chain Stack. Yep, continuing. And it's just so hard. Like, I honestly can't even imagine coming into a game like this. And even if I am my full team, and knowing that I do not have the luxury of sitting back and farming, because I'm just going to get out-grinded by a team like Zenith. But they're rolling with the punches, man. They're smoked up, moving down mid now, looking to find themselves the target. XY is going to be spotted out and telekinesed immediately. They may get him. Here comes the Night Stalker, though. There's the split prompted out. BKB activated on the Night Stalker. He's going to pursue out the Keeper of the Light. Ice taking damage from Brewmaster. In the meantime, looks like Minerva will be cleaned up. Back here in mid, the battle rages on. Freedom going to eat a lot of crits. Took 2, but still survived through it. And Brewmaster about to reassemble. Somehow, and this is how you know, by the way, that you are just in much better shape than your opponents. He ate 2 crits, 2 of them, from PA, and did not die. Somehow survived through it, was able to disrupt himself, keep himself alive. And what could be the beginning of the end now. Chibix actually still alive. He is going to be going for an Aghanim Scepter. Don't know that he'll have time to get there, but has the point booster on the way. Level 1 Dagon still yet for Tinker. Wouldn't be surprised to see him upgrade that sometime very soon. Shadow Demon on his way to a mechanism. He's got his buckler complete. Don't know that he has... let's see what's on the courier. Yep, headdress on the courier as well, so... not super far away from that mech if they want to wait on that before they decide to push the base. Don't know that they would have to. And yeah, it will be the Radiance picked up on Ice. Not the fastest Radiance in history, but then again, it wasn't the fastest Midas in history. And first time I've seen the old school Druid build. Old school Druid push build, I should say, in a long time. Well, it feels like a long time anyway. So much Dota going on at the G-1 League. Oftentimes, a week can feel like a month. In a good way. Just because it's so jam-packed. Radiance now complete. And Zenith may just decide to group up and push here. Night Stalker obviously showed off his BKB for the first time in that fight, freshly completed. He's going to be working on an Ags as well. He's added a point booster. Chibix picks up the Ogre Club, so he's making progress. Be a little bit tankier this time around. His ult should be available. Yeah, 42 seconds. But they're going to have to end up giving up Roche. Taking him a little bit longer than I think they'd like here, but in the end, they can't challenge this to begin with. Poor Risk is still looking to get up a set of drums. Really did not have a good game. And Chains still has not added anything to his inventory. Illuminate will be tossed out, but Panda don't care. Ayesee picks up the Aegis. And they're going to... Oh, Minerva. That's a lot of damage. Void plus Rockets plus Laser plus Dagon makes a very, very unhappy Ezreal. Risk. Gonna be spotted. Yep. See you, buddy. XY. Stop. Level 2 on his Dagon now. That is so much damage. I mean, it's just a ridiculous amount of damage for one little dude in a half-assed alien's power loader suit to be pouring out at 24 minutes into this game. Tier 3 now the target. Haste Rune activated on Yamate will wear off now, though, but still not a whole lot Chains can do here. Bruise ult is available if they want to spend it. Chain's going to be silenced out. And they're going to glyph it and at least try to hold on. Glyph wears off, but Tier 3 drops nonetheless. March of the Machines makes it so hard to engage. And yeah, I mean, you just have to wait up. Now they're going to catch you in WP. Now the blink in finally. There's a split as well. BKB will be activated in the meantime. Let's see what work they can do. Can they hold this Rax and extend this game? Freedom eating a lot of damage from the Brewmaster split, but we can already see he's just not dropping as quickly as they really need him to when they dedicate this much to him. XY's there. Gonna try and clean this up. Mech is there to keep their buddy up and fighting, and the Earth aspect gonna reassemble. There's the blink away. In the meantime, XY gets a kill. And the Bear, Radiance Burn OP. That'll be a dead Ezreal as well. And that should just about be that. Tinker rocking a level 3 Dagon now. And just going to work. Chibix did his best with that ult, but, you know, we already saw what I was talking about during the draft is you just don't see Brewmaster scale that well late, especially if he gets behind, which is the case here today. But I mean, it's just the damage aspect of his ultimate. I mean, we saw him solo kill XY early on at level 6, so that's really the potency of that ability. But when you have a team that has gained levels this quickly, who is beating you this badly in gold and experience, it's just not going to feel really that scary at all. Freedom just kited it out, got mexed, and was back in fighting shape in no time. Chains, though, holding on as long as they can. There's the Dagon to finish up OD, and that should be a dead risk, and it will be. A couple auto attacks. There's the BKB, just for funsies. And GG should be coming out relatively soon. 22-12. Much better showing, at the very least, out of Chain Stack. They certainly didn't go quietly. But this game just about to reach its conclusion, with Zenith walking away winners and improving their record here in the Phase 3 of the G-1 Champions League Asia Qualifiers, improving the 2-0. And now if they can get past LGD China, they will just earn one flat-out qualification spot in. Granted, saying if they can get past LGD China, it's like, oh, if you can climb Everest, that's pretty, you can get a good view. Pretty easy to take awesome pictures that way. But, as is, Zenith improves their chances. Puts themselves in a beautiful situation moving forward to try and earn their way and punch their ticket out of Phase 3. Chain Stack put up an empowered resistance. An empowered resistance. But for the most part, see all that happening just to the north of the Ancient, that's kind of how this game went. It's going to be just short of 28 minutes, the official game time, as we wind things down here. I want to thank each and every one of you once again for spending your day here with me on One More Game TV2. Not the closest series, I know. But sometimes, even a not close series can be fun, and I certainly had fun hanging out with you guys, getting to watch Chain Stack take on Zenith. Zenith, though, in a 27-minute, 25-second rout, gets past Chain Stack 2-0 and improves their record here in the group stage of Phase 3 to 2-.